Hello YouTube, how are you? How are you? How are you? I hope you're a fantastic day as much as I am. Well, a bit of a different video, obviously, like the McCrellies is gonna be something a bit new. Wanted to try is a particular form of, shall we say, content creation I'm not exactly a big fan of, which is reaction content, but this one kind of specifically interested me today, so I decided to go ahead and take a peek at this. So if you don't know, this is VTuber here. I'm kind of in the way by the name of I think it's Hiokleo. I'm not sure. I do apologize if I'm getting that wrong. Put out a new video yesterday called Male VTubers. I am just kind of in the way. Let me just move myself over actually. I'll put myself in the bottom right corner. Yeah, there we go. Put out a new video called male VTubers are not at a disadvantage. Here's why. And that kind of interested me a lot more than I thought it was going to, come to title. So I thought, what better way to have a input and sort of good discussion about it than to actually watch the video. And yeah, I thought we'd do that today. So if you give me like 2 seconds, I think we should be good. Make sure I'm getting audio through the headphones. I am not. Why am I not getting audio through headphones? Okay, something weird's going on here.
At a disadvantage in the VTuber community. They're just going about...
Oh, technical difficulties. Streamer's Bane. Okay, there we go. Through now. But yeah, I thought just watch it together and we'll see what the sort of reasoning is and have a constructive discussion. You know, because that's what the VTuber community is fucking known for, as it were. Anyway, yeah. If people do like reaction content, I may do more in the future. Kind of TBC on that part. I may plan on doing it for an upcoming model thing I'm doing. So yeah, if you do like it, do subscribe, and maybe I'll have a part 2 coming out where I'll better discuss some of the points brought up in here. Obviously, I like to do more critical analysis, but yeah, we'll just have a generalized reaction. So yeah, let's watch together.
Male VTubers are not at a disadvantage in the VTuber community. They're just going about marketing the wrong way. And I will be giving you my hot takes on why I think that is the case. Because honestly, I think a lot of you just don't have the information you need to succeed. And some guy online cried loud enough, making you feel like you're in a losing race. So buckle up, because I'm not pulling any punches.
Good, I fucking don't want punches pulled, and that's the first thing I need to think I most importantly say. I will say though, I do see it quite often that there are quite a lot of male VTubers that go around complaining, going, it's so hard, and like, I don't know, man. Have you seen Jowol? Have you seen Shxto? I mean, they do well, I think. Kuro as well is another one I could think of.
I have 5 years of streaming under my belt as a non-female VTuber, which means
What?
I didn't get to pull the lady card everyone likes to assume is the reason why female VTubers get success. And you might just want to stay till the end of the video, because I'll be...
I will admit I don't know enough about this particular career, but look into that later.
Teaching you how you can market yourself as a male VTuber. Oh, and Delulu Club members, you know what to expect at the end of the video.
The heck is a... Getting rizzed. Lovely.
Can't wink. Keep in mind that I'll be generalizing
I can wink. Wait for... Yes, yeah. Nice.
Throughout this entire video. And it's not because someone has a specific gender.
Hold on.
Keep in mind that I'll be generalizing throughout this entire...
generalizing is already one part.
Your video. And it's not because someone has a specific gender that they will fit these generalizations to a T. Okay? We good? Let's get cooking. So where did this belief really start? I know you've heard it before. Female VTubers have an easier time growing because of certain assets they have. But that isn't
the asset excuse is funny. I like that. That's yeah.
Actually the reason. To understand what's really going on, we need to go back to the basics of marketing. Having a niche. Often...
Oh, my niche is I don't have a niche. There you go.
when people are talking about choosing a niche, it's because they want you to narrow down what you
I thought she said Naruto for a second. Sorry.
will be specializing in. However, what's really happening when you pick a niche is that you're picking an audience, and that audience will determine who you are creating for. So rolling back to
I don't disagree with that point. That's actually, I think, possibly one of the best points that could have been made. The thing is, right, if you take a look at, I'm trying to think of an example of this. Going back to my previous example of male VTubers as an example, right? The one I can think of off the top of my head, in an infamous capacity, quotation marks, my VTuber model arms don't work. Again, Kuro and Shxto, and they're kind of the way their models are designed, they're different from mine in that, like, I'm obviously a bit muscular would maybe be the phrase I'd use. I'm a bit built, and that's the way I like my model. But if you look at the way their models are, they are not as muscular per se, but they are definitely a bit more maybe lean's not the word. You know the kind of model I'm referring to. They're not built like they chop wood for a living. They built a bit different. And then it's the same as well with not just male models, as like female models as well. Like you look at Zentraya, she's a dragon. You look at Saurei, she's a military person technically, although she's got like a bunch of other stuff as well. You look at, I've got a lot of people who are live in my own Twitch in a minute. Malfina is another one. She's a Scottish witch, which is very cool. But yeah, no, I get it.
why female VTubers seem to do better has a lot more to do with the audience that they are creating for. And while yes, the way that you look can sway an audience, that isn't the full picture. So let's look at what's actually working in their favor. There's a few factors that women are doing that are helping their growth. The first is obviously their looks. Female VTuber models do incredibly well amongst all audiences, but what I'm talking about is their designs. You may have noticed that female models are often more embellished, especially compared to their male counterparts. I often like to compare female and male models.
I think that's specifically done though. Referring back to my point is that the whole most male VTuber models I've ever seen, I won't say this is the overall case for all, but if you look at, say, well, actually no, now that I think about it, upon thinking about it further, if you look at, say, I'm trying to think is a good example of this. If you look at, say, specifically like, what's his name? HeavenlyFather is a good example of this. His model is super embellished in like how his designs are. Same with, I'm trying to think of other ones I know. Nostro's another one. Kuro, again, I bring him up. It's a good example. So I don't disagree. Mine's not really embellished, but it's because there's a point to it not being embellished yet. Yet is in quotation marks. There are things I'm working on.
To Genshin Impact characters versus Halo characters. We see a lot
Are you dissing my boy Master Chief? Sorry.
of variety overall with women, while men tend to be more simple and classic, which means men often have a harder time standing out. And without a clear aesthetic, it can be very difficult for somebody to give them a chance. Also, side note on my end, but have you ever noticed that male VTuber rigging is often very stiff?
Okay, so I can actually comment on this one because I quite like that. As somebody who has rigged his own model and I have been for the past, I think how long it's been now, several months, let's say at least 6 months now. My model is definitely rigged, but that's because of general anatomical differences between what you would consider, I don't want to say male or female because obviously certain communities may take offense to that, but in general, female presenting models versus male presenting models, there's a general sort of bone structure and anatomical difference between the two, which I think kind of helps that. Like if you look at the way how a male animation would walk versus a female animation would walk, males are still more stiff, and that's because of the anatomical bone structure that we contain as well as our musculature. This is I'm ranting a bit here, but there is reasons why our models are more like that, I think. Would I like mine more animated? Fuck yeah, I absolutely would. I am working on something to do that, but obviously the way my model is versus the way other people's models are going to be is kind of odd to that, if that makes sense. Sorry, that might have ran that part over.
I'm not sure if it's because riggers fear making male VTubers feel too expressive, or that male models are just not cut the same way. Either way.
Well, no, so again, as I'm saying, it's because of the anatomical structure, we can't be cut the same way. It literally can't be. I'll edit this later in. I'll maybe edit this down later. We'll see, depending. But generally speaking, if you look at the overall bone structure and musculature, we just are built different. We're built stiffer, and that's because of just varying years worth of evolutionary stuff, basically.
That's something that's also hurting men in the VTubing community, but I actually don't know why that's so common. The second reason is that women are optimizing for their core audience. Remember when I told you about picking a niche? Well, female VTubers are doing that in more than one way, and sometimes accidentally. Let's start with what I consider common knowledge at this point. In the VTubing community, the average viewer is male and between the ages of 18 and 34. And
I don't disagree with that. I actually think that's probably I think that's probably actually quite statistically proven, yeah.
Most of those viewers will favor watching a female VTuber. This is why male VTubers think they're at a disadvantage. But I will show you later how you could be using that to your advantage. So women are doing well because men are watching them. Great. But that's not the whole story. Female VTubers are optimizing what games they're playing and where they are playing them. Reading through articles upon articles of social media marketing, I read that men and women do not consume their content.
According to stream charts, vertical female, but the popularity among US women is just not generally slowed down
In the same spaces.
Women
are more likely to watch VTubers on TikTok or YouTube, while men are more likely to watch them on Twitch or Kick or Blue Twitch. But it's
we don't talk about the Blue Twitch, don't worry about that. But that's an interesting statistical analysis. If that's the case, then yeah, no, that actually explains why, specifically on Twitch, it's a lot more difficult, I think. That kind of begs the question then of moving forward as a male content creator, would I move to one of these other sites? Possibly, depending. Not the Blue Twitch. We don't talk about the Blue Twitch. But it's certainly an interesting point, I think. It does kind of make me wonder now if I need to start streaming on TikTok, which I don't know if I want to start doing that. Because I did look into that recently, so maybe we'll see how that goes.
Not just that. Women are looking for content creators that are creating vibes, like cottagecore, fantasy, dark. And a lot of them watch IRL content, art, and cozy games. On the other side of the spectrum, men are searching for gaming.
That's an interesting one. I do play a lot of games which I enjoy, like Halo, Yakuza, God of War. Those are some examples of recent games I've been playing. But it does kind of make me wonder then, if I switch over to the more cozy cottagecore stuff, would I have a better analysis of that? It does kind of introduce a fantastic question, which is, theoretically, could the general perception behind who's playing what change as more content creators come into space? And if so, how will that be marketed? Sorry, it's just generally interesting ideas.
And esports. You see what I'm getting at? Female VTubers are picking which platform they want to perform on, while picking content their audience will enjoy. While male VTubers are following the VTuber trend of streaming on Twitch, when they could be choosing different options where they could be hitting their demographic easier. Is that making any sense? Awesome.
I mean, generally speaking, we'll stop there for a second. Generally speaking, so far, I don't have any sort of disagreements with this. Her points, or I think her points. I'm again sorry, I don't know pronouns. I'm sorry, don't hurt me. But generally speaking, I think it's an interesting point to make. Basically, it's like I think that is kind of the big problem, is that with male VTubers, we see female VTubers on things like Twitch and YouTube and Kick. But the problem is that with those sites, obviously, we're like, oh, this VTuber or that VTuber does well on Twitch, so I can do well on Twitch. But in actuality, you might not do well. It's an interesting, a generally interesting thing, I think, to consider. It's one I maybe actually have to look into later, but maybe I'll take a look later. Huh.
information, how can male VTubers thrive? By reverse engineering how female
I love reverse engineering. Reverse engineering is like my favorite phrase in tech. So hearing a VTuber say it's even better.
VTubers find success. Yeah, I know it sounds complicated, but I got it all written down for you. So listen up. Let's start with finding your demographic. But I hear you. Hio, you just told me that most VTuber viewers are men and they want to watch women. Yes, I know, but that actually gives you two. Yeah.
That means I'm getting a, I'm officially getting my GILF model now. I will become the old lady VTuber. No, fuck, that actually puts me too close to porcelain maid. Shit. I'll work that part out later.
S2, opportunities. The first road you could take is becoming a streamer for men. Male
I'm a streamer for everyone. I just want to point that out.
viewers are often looking for interactivity, gaming, and sick energy. And while everyone is different, obviously, you could be picking stream games where the audience is mostly men.
Oh god, I don't want to play Marvel Rivals. I don't want to play Marvel Rivals because I generally sucked at it when I played it off stream. And I fucking refuse to go near Valorant because of the idea of being an e-boy. I do apologize.
Categories that ya boys are usually swatting in are first-person shooters, battle
True.
royales,
True.
anything competitive,
True.
and I think horror. In male
Yeah,
viewers
horror, I
are
agree.
typically on Twitch or Kick. Personally, as someone who has a 50% male
Oh, that's interesting. Although she does skew more, I assume she again.
audience, I found out that they love nerding out about things that I also enjoy, like horror franchises or Marvel. So don't think that
Was that fucking Ben? Sorry, I got distracted.
because you're a guy, you can't build a fun community. Because fun fact, most successful streamers on Twitch and Kick are men. The
Yeah, I guess men. Yeah, cool.
second road that you could take is
Okay.
becoming a streamer for women.
No, women scare me. So how do I skip this part?
A lot of male VTubers have chosen this route and shine in very different ways. So I'll show you a few examples.
Sorry, that's a
here,
dumb-
but let's
dumb
get
joke on my
this
part.
Out of the way first. If you want to create for women, your brand needs to appeal to that audience. But what does that mean? You have
Oh.
no idea how large my grin is right now. Knowing
All right, so here's the thing. My model is very specifically designed in a very specific way. Again, I refer back to my previous statements regarding other streamers like Shxto and Kuro in that sort of regard, wherein what my model looks like and what their models look like are vastly different sort of types of designs in terms of certain aesthetics and certain builds of our generalized musculature and skeletal structure in terms of how our VTuber designs are made. So I'll scratch my hand there. So I think it's definitely more of those interesting points.
all the ladies that are watching this, they're about to give me a high five for taking one for the team. But
Bye for the team, hey?
stick with me here. Have you ever heard of the dating game called Love in Deep Space? No.
Was this not the one that they got fucking... Sorry, I'm... Slight tangent here. Is this not the one they got fucking death threats from? They were gonna add someone and then they canceled it or some shit. I remember hearing that.
Oh, good. Go look it up.
No, because I...
Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. So, you get it, right? Most women love an aesthetic and a vibe. A big thing
Well, the aesthetic and the vibe there is twink gay.
you see with
I'm... God, Otome games, fuck.
Otome games are archetypes. FYI, Otome games is what we call dating simulators for women, okay?
Yes, that is a very Japanese way to say it. Again, it's sort of... I guess I do technically fit into a very particular niche and taste for that. In terms of model design. I definitely do, at least I think. But, you know, it's just me.
Just so you know. And as a
Although it does kind of make me actually... Sorry, I'm tanging again here, because I just hadn't thoughts about that. Not every male VTuber does fit in those categories, though. Again, like I said, HeavenlyFather and Nostro, two examples I would feel don't fit into that. In terms of those kind of archetypes. They're definitely more men for men's sake, if that makes sense.
Male VTuber, you could choose to be one of those archetypes. Not
Oh,
necessarily in
God.
unless you wanted to, but definitely in looks. You see this a lot in the male VTuber sphere, and I'm about to give you a few examples.
Okay.
Shxto
Fucking again, like I said, Shxto.
is a soft, easily flustered rogue. He allows his audience to draw him in soft situations.
I'm scared where this video is about to go.
Calling in female artists. He's also allowed people shipping him with his guy friends, attracting yaoi fans.
Oh, yeah.
Bun, on the other hand, is a hunk that plays the sassy, promiscuous rabbit. He sings and focuses on funny and horror content, but due to
Oh, fuck. Okay, thank God we are...
his branding, he often attracts women
Definitely assets.
and men. And then we have Basil Wolf, a strong, stinky werewolf man that created his own world. He focuses on art and so does his community. His character is appealing to the female gaze, but he's funny and still brands himself authentically to who he is. You see, while all of these male...
Okay, I think that's actually quite an interesting point. So in terms of the... Obviously, those aren't all the archetypes, but I think it does kind of project in such a weird way. I think I fall more into the third one, I guess, technically. I very vaguely. I definitely am not the first one, and I'm definitely not the second one. I think. But yeah, no, I think it's definitely one of those interesting ones where, in terms of how I, at least some scale market, obviously my specific username, is Babyface for life. But that's mainly because it's just an old name that I don't want to get rid of. And I do like it. You know, I do like my name. I have always liked my name in the online sphere. So, I don't know, we'll see.
VTubers branded themselves differently. They all succeeded in the fields they are in, and none of them branded themselves in a way that they lost who they really are, which is what I would hope all male VTubers would do, even when trying to appeal to a specific audience. Now let's get to the fun stuff. You'll want to brand yourself coherently.
Actually, speaking of, sorry, I'm going about aesthetics here. Speaking of aesthetics, actually speaking, one of the main aesthetics, or one of the main people who are responsible behind my aesthetics specifically, is the Twitch VTuber Lucia. When I was originally coming to concept designs, my actual original concepts were like robots and stuff, because I thought there's not really that many robots, and I'm in tech anyway, so it would fit me. But then she mentioned, there was one stream specifically we were talking about like Scotch accents and everything. She mentioned like, older guys, and I kind of did get me thinking in that kind of regard, where it was like, you know what? I don't remember the last time I saw an old man VTuber. Don't get me wrong. Ever since I debuted, there have been like 3 or 4 I have learned about. We are few and far between. Like, I think, oh god, who falls in this category? The dwarf whose name begins with an H, who's escaping me. I follow him on Twitter, but I can't remember his name. Oh, I feel so bad. And then there's another one who's like a Viking guy. Hold on, let me see if I can find it real quick. So there's why can I not find the dwarf VTuber I want? Why are there so many dwarf VTubers? Sorry, Horatius. Horatius is the one I can think of, and then the other one is Ulvryn. So Horatius and Ulvryn are what I would consider examples of older gentleman VTubers, which I think is definitely the kind of archetype I sit in. But I also think in terms of the archetype, it's also the most difficult to expand in. I would say Horatius has a better growing, if that makes sense, simply because I would say he's an older soul. I don't know if that would make sense. He seems like an older soul. Maybe along the way I am, but we'll see. But yeah, we'll just help back a second.
Himself authentically to who he is. You see, while all of these male VTubers branded themselves differently, they all succeeded in the fields they are in, and none of them branded themselves in a way that they lost who they really are, which is what I would hope all male VTubers would do, even when trying to appeal to a specific audience. Now let's get to the fun stuff. You'll want to brand yourself coherently. I don't think I need to say much here. I think you understand that branding is a balancing act between what you love and what your audience likes. So if you're looking for tips on how to come up with a good design, here is what I would suggest. If you want to go the male audience route, I highly recommend looking up video games or movies specifically aimed towards men to create your VTuber design. If you want to appeal to women, look up games like Genshin Impact or Love in Deep Space. But regardless which path you choose, I highly recommend going over a design with a character designer. They will
I think that's a good one to say. Yeah. So it obviously the points there still do kind of stand. Obviously, what appeals to men, what appeals to women are two different things. Especially not just with it in terms of generalized marketing, anime as well specifically. Like you look at shoujo and seinen and shonen and shoujo ai types of manga, the way the characters are all designed in that are all very different. Like for example, you're not going to see somebody who you wouldn't see, rest in peace, Akira Toriyama, designing a shoujo manga. You don't see that. I'm not saying it's not possible for him to do it. I'm just saying it's not going to do as well as like other creations, and that's kind of, I think, an interesting facet. I think some people just don't realize.
be able to make something coherent for you, especially if you don't feel comfortable with coming up with something on your own. The next step, in my opinion, is finding an artist that can actually bring your character to life. When I was looking for a VTuber artist, I specifically wanted somebody who could draw something androgynous. So find someone that can actually pull off pretty boys in their style, or some.
That's another good point, I think. Obviously, with my particular model as it stands, and the next one I'm doing, I've drawn them myself. It took me a while because I'm not great with art specifically, and eventually, when I do the 2.0 stuff, when I do it next year, I do plan to hire out a proper artist. But it's one of those ones of trying to find artists who can do my kind of style of musculature are very far and few between. It is one of those rare issues which I don't think people kind of do understand. Male VTubers do occasionally encounter, which is because we are specifically the way, because some of us are a bit more niche in terms of our demographic, or not demographic, in terms of our generalized marketing and design philosophy, we are a lot more difficult to create for. I think it's the interesting one. I am planning to get some art done next month, maybe a month after, we'll see. Which may be the first piece of not me art of me. So we'll see how that goes.
Someone that can draw mecha if that's what you're aiming for. And please, I beg, find a rigger that won't make you look stiff.
That is one of the part. I'm currently working on my own rigging technique. This video has actually kind of made me think about the chibi model I'm doing, and I might try and upgrade how flexible I am in terms of movement with that.
And finally, I need you to stop getting lazy on your social media. I know being a creator is a lot, but no matter how good you look or how good at a game you are, nothing will halt your growth more than poor social media habits. I have a whole playlist for you to go through if you're interested on seeing how you can grow as a small creator online. But if you want a specific video on a specific topic, let me know in the comments. And if what's stopping you from showing up consistently is you being forgetful, I'm neurospicy myself. I get it. I have been using this tool called B-Plan. Now, they're not sponsoring this video, but I'm an ambassador and I
have seen B-Plan before, but I think they do charge a bit for it.
Their app religiously. You can draft posts, schedule them out, and leave it. You can connect all your
I'll be honest, that's a fucking just agile storyboard.
Socials on one account for free, and B-Plan shows you the best posting times for you. It has been my secret tool for posting 3 times a day on Twitter 4 months. And with a premium plan, you can have access to
this is what I was saying.
Yes, even for your Twitter. Who don't actually understand how to promote themselves. There are just as many female VTubers that are struggling to grow out there, simply because they haven't found their audience yet. But
that is true. I do, I wouldn't say, I know of a few wherein, like, I do see them occasionally.
If you don't agree with me, feel free to drop your opinion in the comments. Or you can come debate me directly on my Twitch. And before you go, if you like this video, please subscribe. I'm spilling the tea on how I'm growing as a small content creator right now. Because I want everybody to succeed in content creation. Especially if it's their dream. So go
definitely a dream, yeah.
And show this community who you really are. Monster out!
Okay, I thought that was quite an interesting video. So hold on, let's just go over to just chatting then for a bit. We'll stick on something that's some music that's a bit royalty free. While we do this, turn it down as well. Okay, cool. All right, so I kind of want to discuss generalized feelings about that after that video. I think in terms of what was discussed, I don't disagree with anything that was stated. I think it was all fairly good points, but I think it's not. I think the biggest thing that was kind of something I didn't really consider myself is the location of streaming, specifically in regards to, because I do Twitch obviously, and I upload all the VODs and shit and to YouTube, and that's where all my shorts usually go as well, plus that and TikTok. But the idea of streaming to TikTok as one of the places for female audiences was not actually on my card list. I'm not gonna lie. It's certainly an interesting idea that I don't think I've heard before. YouTube as well. I don't think I'll ever stream on YouTube, but TikTok may be one I'm going to look into soon. As well as Twitter. It's been kind of on my head since I've got Twitter Premium anyway. So nobody can copy me. Being me. But I do think it's one of those interesting points. There's a couple of things I want to come back to. I might make a part 2 extra response thingy. Or rather, I might split this into some extra content later. We'll see how things go. But I think in general, most of the points are sort of good, but I also feel it's generic enough. It's not really kind of addressing some of the more concerns I think most male VTubers have in terms of our generalized growth and how we compare to the general female VTuber base, if that makes sense. Sure, it's all very well and fine saying find a niche, but I don't think you kind of understand, or rather, I don't think it was specifically expanded upon that finding a niche alone maybe isn't enough. Like, if you look at how a lot of other people go about their VTubing, it's definitely one of those ones where I think in terms of the idea of niches, if you look at how the idea, or rather how shonen and other such genres of manga and anime have affected the female VTubing sphere, I think the opposite is also kind of the same in terms of, oh, my fucking VTube studio broke. Are you joking? Of course it crashes. What, 2 seconds, YouTube. Okay, better. Back to what I was saying. Yeah, in terms of like how shonen and seinen anime and manga have specifically affected the design process for female VTubers, I think the idea of the flip side of that for shoujo and shoujo ai type of manga affecting male VTuber design is very interesting. In terms of what is out there and what's kind of available, that makes sense. I think it's definitely one of those ones where it's kind of, you need to, as a male VTuber, I think that is something that's a consideration these days. It's not really something I thought about before, but now I'm thinking about it. It's something interesting. In terms of, what was the other point she made that I thought was quite interesting? Let me see if I can't get that back up again. There was something else that was kind of an interest to me, I think. Let me find this one. There was a certain point I wanted to go back and discuss real quick, specifically. Oh yeah. I will say, and this is kind of, I'll switch over back to the PC screen real quick. Spotify. I will say,
Flustered rogue. He allows
with the 3
to draw his
examples of
due to his branding, he is
the 3 large male VTubers that she discussed. Shxto, Lucia, and I'm sorry, I'm terrible names.
and men. And then we have Basil Wolf.
Basil. Okay, right. So that's the three I want to discuss specifically regarding this. I think in terms of I think in terms of generalized design concepts, if I may, the three examples I think were given are specifically the male equivalent of being hypersexualized in some way or form. This is a bit of an odd one to say, but I do think it's one of those ones where, in terms of what is perceived as successful in male VTubing, is sort of that, and I don't know how 100% I would agree with that, to be honest. Obviously, you have other male VTubers who do very well, even considering, like, you look at Papama as an example, right? In terms of what he is and what his generalized design looks like, it's a lot different. Same with Heavenly, same with Nostro. They're a bit more, I want to say, subdued in terms of design, where their personality more shines out, I think. And in terms of their content, I don't know if it's just maybe me specifically, or it's just the type of people I enjoy watching, but I always find them a bit easier to stream as a male, and that actually may be kind of why. Because I'm more subdued than these three. Like, I know Shxto, I know Lucia, and I kind of knew about Basil as well, primarily through, I think it was something he did for Papama specifically. But I think it's definitely one of those more interesting things wherein, depending how subdued the design can be, you know, it kind of depends on who it's actually more marketed towards. I think it's quite fascinating. But yeah, I think in terms of just general talking points, as I said, I don't really disagree with anything that was kind of stated. I think it's definitely one of those ones of, depending on how you are as a person, it kind of definitely vaguely affects both design principles and sort of generalized overall marketing of what you could do. I think there's nothing wrong that was said. I just think, though, it's so generic that you can't really take anything from it. And that's kind of it. The gaming part as well kind of was one of those ones where I think, in terms of what was discussed, was also quite interesting. The idea of, like, the different genres you have to go through was certainly a bit more interesting, I think. Which kind of does make me wonder if I should start to move towards certain types of games as well. I'll maybe see about that in the future. We're not sure. There is like one or two other ones. There's a couple of games I've been wanting to play as of late, which would fit into both categories or both. So I'll see how that goes. And yeah, maybe this advice from this is actually a lot better than I thought. We'll see. But yeah, I think we're going to kind of call it there with the male VTuber advice video for today. I hope you did enjoy it as much as I did. I thought, again, like, it was very well produced. It was very well edited. Nothing there I can sort of fault with the video in terms of what content it was. I thought it was generally quite decent advice. In terms of what was there, some slight criticism on my part is because of the way my brain works, though. I think in terms of the averaging VTuber, I think it would definitely help a lot more. But yeah, thank you very much for watching YouTube. You have been. I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day as I've enjoyed mine. And yeah, if you do like such content as this, if the reaction does well, I may do more in the future. We'll see how things go. But thank you very much for your time. And I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day as much as I enjoyed mine. Ta-ra.